Hello, my beautiful souls. Welcome back to the channel. Before we begin, I need you to do something for me. Take a deep breath, because the story we're diving into today, it's a masterclass in betrayal, built on a foundation of greed so profound that it took a turn into the darkest corners of the human heart and targeted a child. It explores a terrifying question. What happens when the person you trust most sees your greatest love, not as a person, but as an obstacle to a fortune? This is a story about a mother who had to outsmart a predator to save her child. If you're ready for a story that will have you holding your breath, then hit that like button and subscribe. And I need to know in the comments, could you have kept your cool like she did? What would you have done in her shoes? Sharon's first marriage was her great love story. Her first love was a gentle giant named Thomas. Theirs was a deep, quiet love, built on mutual respect and a shared dream of a family. They were blessed with a daughter, Lily, a little girl with her father's kind eyes and her mother's fierce spirit. Their world was perfect, until a rainy night and a drunk driver shattered it forever. Thomas was gone. Sharon was left a young widow, drowning in a grief so profound she thought she'd never surface. Her only anchor was Lily. Thomas, a shrewd and caring man, had left them financially secure. A multi-million-dollar life insurance policy and a successful business he'd sold meant Sharon would never have to work another day in her life. His will was ironclad and specifically designed to protect his girls. The estate was structured so that if Sharon died, every last dollar, stock, and property would pass directly into a trust for Lily, managed by a board of trustees until she turned 25. If Lily died, the entire fortune would revert to Sharon. It was a perfect circle of protection, each one the beneficiary of the other. The only way for anyone else to get the money was for both of them to be out of the picture. 2 years into her widowhood, David appeared. He was charming, attentive, patient, and he seemed to understand her world of grief. He didn't try to replace Thomas. He positioned himself as the strong port in her storm. He bonded with Lily, who was desperate for a father figure. He signed a prenuptial agreement without a fuss, claiming he only wanted them, not the money. Sharon, yearning for the stability and love she'd lost, believed him. They married after a year-long courtship. The first sign of trouble was subtle. It was a crack in the facade a year into the marriage. David's architecture business began to fail. He'd taken out massive, secret loans to keep it afloat. Loans from dangerous people. The pressure made him cruel in small, deniable ways. He started making comments. "It's incredible. The life Thomas built for you two. You'll never have to worry about anything." The comment felt off. He wasn't admiring it. He was inventorying it. But Sharon brushed them aside, attributing them to his stress. Then, Sharon started getting sick. Dizzy spells, nausea, a debilitating fatigue. David was the picture of concern. He took over making her morning smoothies and evening teas, devotedly bringing them to her. "It's just stress, honey," he'd say, smoothing her hair. "You need to build your strength back up." But she only got weaker. The day of the discovery was a Tuesday. Lily had a half day at school. Sharon was on a video call in her home studio when she realized she'd left her laptop charger in the car. She muted her microphone and slipped out quietly. As she passed the open kitchen doorway, her blood ran cold. David wasn't in his study. He was standing at the kitchen island, his back to her, and he wasn't alone. Lily was there, perched on a stool, kicking her little legs, chattering away about her day. And in David's hand was a small, unlabeled brown glass bottle. He unscrewed the dropper and squeezed several clear droplets into the pink smoothie in front of his stepdaughter. "Here you go, sweetie," he said, his voice a sickening parody of warmth. A special smoothie for my best girl. Every cell in Sharon's body screamed. This was wrong. This was all wrong. The brown bottle. The furtive glance he shot towards the hallway. The fact that he was giving their daughter a smoothie for no reason in the middle of the afternoon. Lily reached for the cup. No. The word was a raw, guttural cry of pure terror. David jumped, whirling around. The brown bottle vanished into his pocket. His face, for a split second, was a mask of pure, unadulterated panic, before he slammed a placid smile over it. Sharon, you scared us. What's wrong? Sharon didn't hear him. She strode across the kitchen, her heart hammering against her ribs like a trapped bird. She snatched the smoothie cup from the countertop and held it under her nose. It smelled of strawberries and bananas, and something else. Something faintly bitter, like almonds. Her eyes darted to the sink. The brown bottle was gone. He'd pocketed it. What was in that bottle? She demanded, her voice shaking violently as she rushed to Lily, pulling her away from the counter. What bottle? It was just her probiotic drops. See? He picked up a different labeled bottle of children's probiotics from the counter. A prop he'd placed there for exactly this scenario. You've been so out of it lately, honey, you're not seeing straight. Mommy? Lily's small voice was laced with confusion and fear. What's wrong? Oh. He looked genuinely concerned. He was good. He picked up the smoothie glass. Look, it's fine. I'll drink it. He took a large gulp from the smoothie jar and smiled. See? Perfectly fine. The act was brilliant and chilling. He hadn't drunk from Lily's cup, but the bottle she'd seen. He'd neutralized the immediate threat and reinforced the narrative that she was sick, paranoid, and unstable. I must be more tired than I thought, Sharon stammered. Her confidence shattered. She took a trembling Lily upstairs, her mind reeling. She knew what she had seen, but he had an answer for everything. The doubt he planted was a poison in itself. But the image of that brown bottle was burned into her mind. She couldn't trust him. She could barely trust her own senses. She needed proof. When she got back to the kitchen, it was sparkling clean. Not a trace of a smoothie in sight. Can you imagine that feeling? The ground falling away beneath you, being made to feel crazy in your own home? If you've ever been gaslit, you know that unique horror. Share your thoughts in the comments. She couldn't go to the police. Not yet. It was her word against his. A brown bottle he'd undoubtedly already disposed of. A smoothie that could have contained anything. He'd claim she was hysterical, mentally unstable. A narrative he'd already carefully constructed with her mystery illness. She needed proof. Cold, hard, undeniable proof. Sharon's first call wasn't to the police. It was to Mr. Whitmore, Thomas's old friend and the executor of his will. She laid out the scene in the kitchen, her voice barely a whisper. Sharon, Mr. Whitmore said, his voice grave. This is far more serious than you know. Think about the will. If something happens to Lily, you inherit everything outright. Sharon's blood went cold. She'd never thought of it that way. Now, Mr. Whitmore continued, if something were to then happen to you, as your husband, David would inherit everything from you. Your life insurance, which I assume he took out on you. Yes, Sharon whispered, remembering the policy David had insisted on. There it is, Mr. Whitmore said. The perfect crime. Okay. First, you and Lily are getting on a plane to me tonight. No, Sharon said. If I run, he wins. He'll have time to cover his tracks. He'll spin the story. I'll look like an unstable woman. I have to stay. I have to beat him at his own game. The monstrous, elegant simplicity of the plan left Sharon breathless. David wasn't just a monster. He was a brilliant, patient one, Whitmore argued. But Sharon was immovable. Okay, then we play it smart. We need evidence. And we need to find out what's in that bottle. How? Sharon asked, desperation creeping in. I have a friend, Whitmore said. A private investigator. He's discreet, ex-FBI. He's expensive, but he's the best. I'm calling him now. In the meantime, you have to act normal. You cannot let him suspect a thing. It's the most dangerous part. Can you do that? Sharon looked at her reflection in the dark computer screen. The woman looking back was someone new. Yes, she said. I can. Through Mr. Whitmore, she hired Silas, a PI who specialized in financial crimes and covert surveillance. While David was at work, Silas filled the house with invisible, state-of-the-art spy cameras and microphones. They were motion-activated, streaming to a secure cloud and to a live feed in Silas's van. A private doctor, arranged by Mr. Whitmore, confirmed it. Sharon had elevated levels of aconitine, a deadly poison derived from monkshood. It was known as the Queen of Poisons. Its symptoms? Dizziness, fatigue, gastrointestinal distress, and cardiac arrhythmia leading to a death that often looked like a heart attack or organ failure. It was almost undetectable in standard autopsies unless specifically tested for. Now they understood the plan. The wellness smoothies and teas for her were laced with a slow-acting poison. David wasn't just trying to make them sick. He was orchestrating their deaths. But why? The life insurance money was substantial. But David had a good job. It didn't make sense. Sharon gave Silas a new directive. Dig into David's finances and his personal life. Dig into everything. What he uncovered was the second, even more devastating betrayal. David wasn't in debt. He was drowning in it. Secret gambling losses from high-stakes online poker sites totaling nearly $500,000. Loans from shady lenders with terrifying interest rates. And there was more. A woman. A much younger woman named Chloe. Silas provided photos of them together. Cozy in a cafe. Entering a hotel. But the clincher was a document Silas procured through his shadowy channels. Chloe was 6 months pregnant. And David had taken out another life insurance policy. On Lily. Sharon sank to the floor of her studio. Dry heaving. The man she had shared a bed with, built a life with, trusted with her most precious gift, was a sociopath. He had looked into Lily's eyes, heard her laughter, and calculated the monetary value of her death. The rage that filled her was no longer hot. It was glacial. It was absolute. Sharon played her part. She leaned into the illness. She praised David's care. She fed his belief that she was weak, confused, and utterly fooled. But she and Silas were watching. They saw him research poisons. They saw the secret bank statements for loans with crippling interest rates. They saw the life insurance policy he'd taken out on her for $2 million. But he was careful. He never took the real poison bottle out where the cameras could see. The police were still not an option. It was all circumstantial. A good lawyer could poke holes in it. He could get away with it. He could get partial custody of Lily. The thought was unacceptable. No. The law was too slow. Too clumsy. David didn't play by the rules. To protect Lily, Sharon would have to step into the darkness with him. She was going to give him exactly what he wanted. But not in the way he expected. This is where the story takes a turn, doesn't it? What would you be thinking if you were Sharon? Is there any coming back from a betrayal this deep? Drop a comment with your thoughts. Silas devised the plan. We need to make him think his timeline is collapsing. We need to make him reckless. Sharon announced that Mr. Whitmore was concerned about her health and had insisted on a full, private medical workup at a specialized clinic. "They're going to run every test imaginable, honey," she said weakly. "They'll figure out what's wrong with me." She saw the flicker of sheer panic in his eyes. A full toxicology screen would find the thallium. The trap was set. The night before she was to leave, she ordered his favorite meal. She was a bundle of nerves, but a cold, focused determination held her together. This was for Thomas. For Lily. As they sat down to eat, she played her part. "You know, David, going to this clinic has me thinking, if anything ever happens to me, you and Lily will be okay. Thomas's estate is rock solid. The money goes directly to her, managed by the trustees. You won't have to worry about a thing." She was holding up a mirror to his entire plan and showing him it was about to shatter. She was giving him a motive. She saw the calculations in his eyes. The slow poison was no longer an option. He had to act fast. After dinner, she went to the kitchen to get a bottle of wine. As she moved around, she made sure her body was positioned between David and the counter. Using a sleight of hand she'd practiced for hours, she pulled an identical brown bottle from her pocket, this one filled with harmless water and food coloring, and made a show of pouring several drops into his wine glass. She turned, caught his eye, and feigned a look of sheer, guilty terror. It was the spark to the dynamite. His face contorted in rage. "What was that?" he roared, leaping to his feet. "What was what?" Sharon stammered, backing away. "In my glass. You put something in my glass. Don't be ridiculous, David. It's just the wine," she said, backing away, playing the terrified. Caught culprit. David lunged for the glass, sniffing it. A bitter, triumphant laugh escaped him. "You're trying to poison me. You crazy bitch. You found out, didn't you? And you're trying to kill me first." He grabbed her arm, his fingers digging into her flesh. "Where is it?" "The bottle." He wrestled the fake bottle from her hand, holding it up like a trophy. A twisted smile played on his lips. "You think you're smart? You're nothing. A sick, pathetic woman. I've been poisoning you for months and you were too stupid to notice." He shoved her away from the sink, his mind racing, not just in panic, but with a grandiose sense of his own brilliance. "That's right, you fool. You played right into my hands. I know that prenup of yours. I've read it 100 times. Thomas was smart, but he wasn't perfect. He protected what you had, but he didn't think about what you'd get. When that little brat dies, her millions become yours. And what's yours during marriage becomes partly mine in a divorce." He looked at her, a queen he had already checkmated, and sneered. "Oh, I know all about it. I know I could drag you through court after she's gone. Fight for my marital share of your new inheritance. But why would I? Why would I fight for scraps in some drawn-out, messy legal battle, begging a judge for a percentage?" His voice dropped to a venomous whisper, full of condescending pity. "When I can just wait for you to die from a broken heart or help you along and then have it all? Every last dollar. No lawyers. No judges. No sharing. It's cleaner. It's smarter. It's mine." He turned back to the sink, flipping the switch on the garbage disposal, its grinding whir filling the room as he moved to destroy the evidence. He never finished the thought. The kitchen door burst open. Silas stood there holding a tablet. Behind him, 2 officers surged into the room, weapons drawn. "David Miller, step away from the sink. You are under arrest for the attempted murder of Sharon and Lily Miller." David froze, the fake bottle in his hand. His eyes darted from the police to the tiny camera lens in the smoke detector the police pointed at. Then to Sharon. She stood tall, her eyes clear and cold, all pretense of illness gone. The grandiose triumph in his eyes shattered, replaced by the humiliating realization that he hadn't been the mastermind at all. He had been the pawn. He had just detailed his entire, monstrous motive on a live microphone to the police. Sharon was the picture of fierce, triumphant motherhood. The realization that he had been played, that he had just confessed his entire scheme on a live feed to the authorities, shattered him. He dropped the bottle and surrendered. This is the power of playing the long game, using your enemy's greed and panic against them. Could you have been that calm, that calculated, under that kind of pressure? The evidence was irrefutable. The video confession, the hidden camera footage of him with the real bottle, which they found in his golf bag after his arrest, Sharon's medical records, his internet history on poisons, the massive, secret debts. Facing a life sentence, David pled guilty to multiple counts of attempted murder. He would spend the rest of his life in prison, with no access to the fortune he had killed for. Sharon and Lily moved to a new home far away. Lily underwent therapy to heal from the betrayal of a man she had called Dad. Sharon told her that David had done very bad things because he was sick, but that he was gone forever. Sharon used her resources to become an advocate for victims of financial and coercive abuse, quietly funding organizations that helped people escape the traps she had nearly died in. Her revenge was not a celebration. It was the solemn peace of knowing she had protected her daughter. She had used her intelligence to uphold the law, not break it. And in doing so, she honored the protective love of her first husband and secured the future for their child. This story is a powerful lesson in listening to your intuition. That gut feeling that something is wrong is there for a reason. It's a lesson in the banality of evil, how monsters don't always look like monsters. Sometimes they look like loving husbands and fathers. And it's a lesson in the terrifying, ferocious power of a mother's love. A power that can create life, and when necessary, extinguish the threat to it. This ending is so satisfying because it's about justice, not just vengeance. Sharon didn't just want him to suffer. She wanted him to be seen for what he was, and for the system to work as it should. She used his own greed and arrogance as the weapon that destroyed him. It makes you think. How far would you go to protect your child within the bounds of the law? Was this a more powerful ending than her taking matters into her own hands? Let's have a powerful discussion down in the comments. Be respectful, but be honest. These are the conversations that matter. Was David's motive clear and terrifying? Does this story make you look at trust differently? If you believe Sharon's calm brilliance deserves recognition, hit that like button. It helps the channel more than you know. Subscribe and hit the bell for more stories about outsmarting betrayal. Thank you for watching. Trust your gut, protect your peace, and I'll see you in the next video.